So let me start. Today we're gonna do our live demo. It's gonna be a tour about preset. So before to start it, it's like a feel free to ask questions there. If you go to the Zoom bar, it's like if you click the bar, there is a question and answer there, and Srini is here to help me to answer questions while I am there doing the presentation. So to start, I'm going to talk a little bit about me so you know who is the person that is going to be presenting. My name is Eugenia Moreno. I'm a director of the customer engagement team here at Preset, and I'm passionate about data and getting value of the data. And I also very passionate to make customers successful and to see the value of the technology. I joined Preset. I was one of the early employees there, and I fell in love. Before joining, I never worked with Superset or Preset before, and I kind of fell in love with the technology. And before Superset, it's like I work more in the data storage, in the databases business. And I thought for 10 years I worked there, and I thought it was time for me to start to help my customers, so the customers, to get value of the data. I helped them to how to store the data in the petabytes. Now it was time, to help them to just like get value of the data. About Preset was founded for the original, it's like a Preset is the managed services of Superset. It's like at the moment, it's like I put this screenshot. So where you can see, this is the number of things that were committed in the code. It's like the code development. And you can see that Preset, that is the green line, is a big collaborator of the code. Was originally created, Preset was created by our CEO is Maxime, and he was the original creator of Apache Superset. He created in a hackathon when he was in Airbnb. And he also is the original creator of Airflow. As you can see here, I also like to show these slides. It's like this is Superset, started in 2015, and you can see that it has a big impact on the code. But once that Preset kind of own the project in a way, it's like a still open source, and you can see that there are collaborators from other companies, Airbnb. Like it really pick up, the number of code commits and things that is happening in the code. So like we are seeing a great momentum in changes. So what I'm going to present today, like probably is completely different of what I present the first demo that it was like 2 months ago, and probably is going to be completely different of what is going to be in 2 months. The code is evolving like crazy and very nice. So having introducing Preset, it's like a less code, to do the tour, because you came here to do a tour. So Preset, as I mentioned, is the managed service of Superset. It's a SaaS application, software as a service. So you get connected to the application. We offer different type of authentication. Demo Preset.io. Your authentication could be through single sign-on, SSO, or it could be through Google or Google authentication, or it could be password, user and password, depends on what is your company. I'm going to use this login as a demo, and this is what is Preset, what we call the Preset Manager. One of the things that you get with Superset, Preset versus Superset is support. Immediately you are here, you are available to have contact with someone immediately to help you in whatever needs that you have. Okay, so you have support through chat, and people can help you. This is Preset. It's like we have the concept of what is a team, and in your team you can have multiple workspaces. In your team, you have the ability to invite people to the team, and because I think that is one of the greatest things about Superset is a data platform where you have everyone working in that platform. And what you also make it nice about Preset, like if I go to this, you have the ability to do role-based access security. So when you invite the people to your team, it's easy for you to say, this person is going to be an admin, this person is going to be a viewer. So you have different tiers of security that in the open source is more difficult to set up. So for this demo that I'm doing this walk around, so this is a team, this is a Workspaces, and in the Preset world, a workspace is an instance of Superset. So those are completely like separated instances. So if you work in a company with presets, you can have different workspaces depending on your different business units, or you can use just one workspace for development, for production, whatever is your interest, you know how to use the tool. Once that you come here, it's like you have the home page, and I am not sure how familiar you are with Superset or presets, but it serves all the personas on the business. It's like on the data when you wanted to analyze data. And you can start as an explorer. You know, you just take one dashboard and say it's like you have the ability to do workspaces, dashboards where you can explore the data. And you can see that it has a rich like a library of different charts that you can use to represent, like, and it's a modern looking, you can use to represent your data. So, and it has the ability to filter. It's like based on whatever is your selection of the chart. But as a tool, it's like you have this, you can create, you can explore the data if you're a viewer and come up with something. But as a tool, one of the idea was to show not only, you know, like a dashboard of the things that you can explore in a dashboard, but also to show you how easy it is to come up, you know, with this dashboard and created all these charts. For example, this dashboard I created in the first slide demo that we did. So if you're interested to how to create this dashboard, I think I did it like a couple of months ago. Probably in our YouTube, you can see the recording of this session. So for now, I'm going to start from scratch with a different data set. And because I want you to feel power to do the same that I'm going to do, it's like I'm going to follow up this getting started guide that we did with Google Sheets, that it is public data. And so after the live demo, you just can go and build your own and replicate what I am doing right now. Okay. So the first thing that you need to do, like I'm here in my workspace, the first thing that you need to do when you connect, when you wanted to build the data, and you know it's like it's connect, build something about the data, you have to connect your data set, okay? So as you can see, it's like a preset support a range of many databases, everything that is SQL speaker, you know, that can understand SQL, you should be able, you know, to connect a data set and get value of that data that you have in that storage in preset. To create a database, it's like you have a click here in the documentation that if you click here, you will be able to see all the databases, you know, that we support. As you can see, it's from like from BigQuery to Snowflakes, you know, to like to Oracle. So like the options are infinite less. So now I wanted to create something that I'm gonna connect to a Google Sheets. If I test the connection here to be sure that I use the right connection. So you have to define what is the dialect that you're gonna use. In this case, I'm gonna use a Google Sheet, so you can use the same thing. Okay, so I'm gonna call it Google Sheets, and I'm gonna add my database. Once that you have a database, it's like I'm calling databases because it's my SQL engine, you know? So not necessarily it's a database. If you're talking about Presto, it's a SQL engine. If you're talking about a vertical database, you're talking about storage. Google Sheet is kind of the SQL engine that we're gonna use. Once that you connect to that, it's like you can add your data set. In the case of Google Sheets, what do you use? And as I mentioned, I'm gonna use the example. I have the URL here. What you use is the public URL, so you can just public the data there, and you add the Google Sheet. As I mentioned, it's like I'm gonna follow up this Google Sheet guide that we have here, so you can just work on that. It's like being a public Google Sheet, it's like you will be able to access here. And if you wanted to see what this Google Sheet has, I make it public so everyone can reproduce. It's just the data from Netflix titles that you have, what is the ID, the type of show, you know, it's like all the information that you need. Like I got it from my Kaggle competitions. Once that you have the data set, it's like now it's time for you to explore and to do whatever you need to do with your data. Okay, so the first thing that we're gonna do is like to start a chart, you just simply can go here, click chart, and say what is the data set that you're gonna use. So because I'm gonna use the Google Sheet, I call it, and you define what is the type of chart you want it to build. As you can see, this is a big list of different charts. So you need to understand it's like what type of data you're gonna to explore. In this is data about Netflix movies that were released over the years. So we can use a time series chart. A time series chart is the charts, that you have one of the metrics, it is like a date, okay? So the first thing that we're gonna do is to do a big number with trend line. And when you do this, you come what we call the Explorer window. On the Explorer window, you have here the data set information where you get access to all the data type, the data available in your Google Sheet in this case, but if it is in a database or a table or in a view that you built, you have access here. It's like immediately select, what are the columns that are date type and put it here in the time range. And you have this time range because we say that this is a big number with trend line. With the trend line, we're talking about time series data. Okay, and that is a query builder sections that is you select what do you want it to represent, what is the data that you want it to show. So we're gonna leave it because this is the data time range from last week. I'm gonna change it and I'm gonna put no filters, okay? Because probably I don't have the data from the last week in that Google Sheet. But if you're streaming data, it's like you can just focus, in last week or whatever the filter that you wanted to use. As a metric, it's like you can select your own metrics, or you just can leave by default. You have the metric like how many things happen, depends of what you want it to represent. In this case, if I run the query right now, I can see that I have 3, that is the count, but it's because it's giving me from the last date of data, it is 3. So if I wanted to see the number of data, but accumulated over the time, you do have the functions of advanced analytics that say what I wanted to see is the cum sum, the accumulated sum of the data. And now you can see in total, this is the trend lines of the number of movies that were added in Netflix over the time. And you can play with this as depend of the data type. I can say instead to have a daily data, I just wanted to have, granularity per week. And you can see that this can change immediately per week, okay? Another options that you have here is that you can compare the data with something. It's a trend line and you wanted to do a comparison. So you have a comparison period lag. If I use a week, I can use 4 weeks. And I'm gonna say that my comparison is month over month. How many movies were added month over month, okay? And then you have here your chart and you have the ability to customize it. I don't like this color. I wanted to have this color. It's Netflix, so I'm probably gonna use red. And the ability to say huge is like the size, of the different fonts that you have here. And once that you're pleased with your data, it's like you just save it. When you save it, I'm gonna call new movies trend. And you have the ability to call it, this is my Netflix dashboard for the demo. I don't have a dashboard that is named like that. So it gives you the chance to say, okay, I don't have a dashboard, but I wanted to save this chart and put it in a dashboard. So I'm gonna create a dashboard at that moment. So when I save it, you have your dashboard with your chart. And now you can continue playing, creating another type of charts, and add to your dashboard. There is no dashboard, it's if you don't have a filter. So what we can do is just to add a filter to this dashboard. That in preset, so I'm gonna select the data set again. In preset right now, it is another type of chart that is called filter box. But pretty soon, you're gonna see this like a part of the software that is evolving. Pretty soon you will see that we're gonna have something that is native dashboard filters, and it's gonna be part of the dashboard, not a separate chart. But right now, it's you have your filter, and you can define, it's like what are the things that you wanted to have in your filter. So I wanted to have in my filter the ability to select the column ranking, the rating, sorry. And I wanted to have the ability to select what type of shows is in Netflix. Okay, so I have both of them. I'm gonna change my filter again, because if I put it's like a last week, probably I don't have a data, and I save it. And now I have my filter, so I'm gonna save my filter, and I'm gonna movie filter. And because I was working in the dashboard, it immediately gave me the option, I'm gonna save this filter, I'm gonna put it in the dashboard. So if I just save and go to the dashboard, you can see that you have your filter there, and then now you can start to apply, filters and see what is, it changed the charts that are part of the filters. Makes sense? You also have the ability in the filter that I didn't do here, and I noticed that not many people use it, is to show the granularity, in case that you wanted to change in your dashboard, the ability to see the data by day, the ability to see the data by month, it's like so you can also change the granularity, and you will see how it applies here. If like it didn't change so much because it's a trend line, but when you see the data points, you can see that this is December, this is August, So I'm going to create another chart so you have a better idea how you create the different charts here. And another chart that we can do is like we have been doing chart, click, and build the chart from here. But another way to do it, because I have the option, is that you just go here, select it, and when you click in the data set, it brings you back, to the column. It's like to build your chart. By default, it selects a table. So in this case, I'm going to change this, and instead to do a table, I'm going to do a pivot table. Okay, I need to change the last week's to no filter. So I have some data here, and then you need to select the data that you wanted to put in your pivot table. For example, I'm going to say my columns are going to be country, and I can say that what are the things that I'm going to group. I'm going to group by type of movie, by ranking, rating, not ranking. And then you can run your chart. Is like and it's going to build a pivot table with all the data. Obviously, it's like in Netflix, you don't have the movies from all the countries. You just can select and say, okay, I'm gonna just focus in the movies. That if I say country, and I can select, the countries are in this list. If you see, I don't have the options, but this is a secret that you do edit data sets. If you go to settings, you can say autocomplete the filters, and you can save it. Okay, and now if I wanted to do some filters, I just select country, and I say when country is in this list, and you have all the options now available, because I put autofill the filters. Every time that I wanted to do a filter, no matter the field that I wanted to use, it gives you the ability, to select the filter. So it's just focused in a couple of countries that I know that they have more movies, just as an example, and I run. The data come here. It's like oh, I didn't say the filter, sorry. Country in United States. India, Canada also is a big producer of movies. Now I save. So my table, it won't be full of empty values, okay? And you do have ability to say you want to combine the metrics, you can transpose the pivots, It's like you can play with the pivot tables. This is also another chart that is going to have a very big change pretty soon. So next demo that we do, probably the pivot table is going to be different. When you are happy, it's like as we did it, you save your chart, you go to your dashboard, and now I have 3 charts in my dashboard, but it make it very easy, to explore the data. And you can make the representation. So to edit the dashboard, it's very simple. It's you just can go and add rows. In your rows, you can add columns, what it make it easier, to prepare to move around. And I will say, this chart is this, but it's too big, for the data that it has here. So you just can size it, move your chart in this column, so you have a wider, and you can move here. I don't see my blue line. You have to wait for your blue line. And then it's if you wanted to prepare more charts, but that is to give you an idea. I think I'm checking on time, but if you follow the demo here in the documentations, you should be able to build this chart following the same steps, okay? So if I go back to my dashboard, that is this one, when I save it, one of the things that Preset also allows you is the sharing. And it's why I think that it's a really nice platform, for data platform, because you do your charts, you do your dashboards, but now you can share with the people, you can share with your team. You can customize colors, for example, if I customize here, you have the ability to see the properties, and select the different colors that you wanted to use. It's the theme. If you wanted to do personal colors, you have, in this case, I don't have any charts with colors, but we can fix that. But you do have the ability also to share your dashboard. You can copy your dashboard in the URL, share it with your team, and have the ability, to just send the URL. And that is something that is very useful to share. Another things that you have in preset that in Superset sometimes is pretty challenging to set up is the ability to share. I think I'm in a different team. I need to log out so I can show you another functions. I'm not an admin of that particular. So you can see I'm logging in with a different user. And you have the ability, to send alerts and reports, So if you wanted to send alerts to the team, it's in preset, it's for you, it's just to add an alert, to define what is the name of the alert, who are the owners of the alert. In this case, it's Eugenia Moreno, put a description. And the alert is a function that where you specify a particular query. When it meets certain conditions, it will send a chart or dashboard to the people via Slack channel, or by email. You also have the ability to send reports. It's if you wanted to send a particular dashboard or a particular, the chart to the customers, it's you have the ability to schedule how often do you want to send that report. And you can see with any of your dashboards, and sometimes that is a pretty challenging to admin here. So if going back to the dashboard that I was creating, as I mentioned, it's once that you are exploring, this is the dashboard that we just created. But once that you explore the data, for example, if I go here to the demo dashboard here, it's you not only have the ability to explore the data using this, you have the ability that when a person is a consumer of the data, it's I just can go back from a chart, from the dashboard, go back to a chart, and do their own analysis without having to change the dashboard. For example, if say, I don't want an area chart, I would prefer to have a line chart, and you have the same representation. I don't want a line chart. I would rather have a bar chart, and then the customization changes based on whatever the type of chart that you're selecting. And that is like and you continue exploring the data, as I mentioned, it's like adding your own filters, changing your group bys, and what it makes the flexibility of a preset to be a data platform where you can just go and explore the data as you need it. And if you see, I haven't touched my keyboard. It was everything with a mouse, moving around the platform. But if you are a data engineer, you also have the ability to say, I wanted to write my own code. I wanted to write my own views, my own queries. You do have the ability to go here and build your own query with whatever complexity your database allow you. If you say my dashboard, it's like my query allows me to do Windows functions, if I can do joins, if I can do group bys, if I can do machine learning. Some of the databases have in-database machine learning to execute some of the models. You can also do it in the SQL lab. And from here, it's like, for example, if I go to status and I just do a count status in this particular table, I'm going to remove the limits. It's like because when you do the visualization, it just shows you that. And if I wanted to build a chart of the query, and as I mentioned, you can make it as complicated, as simple as you want it. You have the ability to do a virtual data set, live demo, SQL. And now you can build a chart of that live demo, of that virtual data set. If you edit the data set here, you will see that it's a virtual data set and it is based on a query, okay? And you can simply go select, this is a good data set, to do a pie chart, and you can customize it as you want it, if you wanted to have a donut, or if you wanted to have the legends. The legends are very important because like sometimes people don't use the legends because it's like you have the data, the label, the tooltip there, but the legend is important when you are in the dashboard because you just can select and unselect data and you can modify your charts based on that. And as I mentioned, if you once that you are you completed your chart, you're ready to go and build a dashboard, and you can see it's a complete platform to manage your data. I don't know, it's like I think I'm just on time. I can't believe that I didn't go over. Any questions?
Yeah, so Alan and I have been answering questions async. So we still have time, folks. If people want to ask new questions, please do. We'll still be around. Akita also wants to know how does need to know how user access between different instances of Superset. So maybe just talk a little bit about the roles and just the model, kind of the preset manager versus Superset instance difference.
Yes. Like that is, as I mentioned, this is a team. We're using is like this preset demo team. It is in trial, like I didn't upgrade it. And inside a team, you can invite people to the team. And you can see in my team, I have a lot of users here. And a team role, you have the option to be an admin or to be a user. But inside the workspace, it's like those are completely different instances, okay? In the workspace, you also take the people that belongs to your team and you have more granularity in the type of roles that you can give. Like we have be an administrator, it could be a contributor, it could be a limited contributor that create things but cannot connect data sets. It can only be a viewer, or you can say this person don't have access at all. Depend of the role. If there are some customers that like to have, one instance for each of the business units, and there is also the ability, to set up data access roles, where you can say, for example, this viewer access is like if you give when you're a viewer, you have to give them access to the data. So like they can come to the workspace, but if they don't have access to the data, like they won't be able to see anything. So, and the role-based data access role is like it gives you the ability to give access by database, by data set, or by particular even it's like a chart. And another thing that we do have is the role level access security. So if you have your data set and you want everyone to have access, but not to see all the data, that is used a lot with multi-tenancy. It's like you do have the ability to say this user can only see customer 1 and 10, this user can only see customer 100. So there is a lot of security that in preset is very easy to set up because it has the UI for everything, but you do have the information there. Some other customers, what they do is to have a production workspace and a development workspace. So you know that everything that you have here, everyone can crash it. It's like you can explore it. It's not production. And once that, for example, if I have this dashboard and I know that this is ready to be in production, you do have the ability, to export a dashboard and import it in another preset instance. And when you export the dashboard, it creates a zip file with a lot of YAML files for every single object that you have in your dashboard, for every chart that you have in your dashboard. So you don't need to copy everything. You just export the dashboard and import it, and automatically everything is going to be created in your workspace.
Another question about caching. So can you cache the virtual data sets?
Yes, every data set, it gets cached. But it's not, sorry, we don't cache data set. What we cache is the charts output, For example, I have this pivot table that we just created. If you see, it runs pretty fast because it ran from the cache, okay? And you say the data was loaded 14 minutes ago. What we cache is not the raw data, this Google Sheet data. What we cache, if I run this again, probably gonna go from the cache. What we cache is just the JSON, that say the JSON of the data that build that chart, okay? And that cache is you can define how often you want it to expire it, it's a very good practice because if you know that you're loading data every hour, you can say that my cache is going to expire every hour. So you can have 1,000 people looking at your dashboard or your charts, but they're going to be reading from the cache, not necessarily hitting the database to do the query, and you can see it in the performance. This is a virtual data set that we built there. And if I click here, it takes almost a second. If I run it again, it takes nothing, okay? Because it went from the cache. So you can go to the documentation. We work very hard to make this documentation. So if there is a topic or something that you don't find information, let us know because we want that feedback to make it better. But if you go to the documentation, you will understand in the cache, and here explain how to set up the cache per data set, per database, or per chart based on your needs. Any other question? Okay, my email is eugenia@preset.io. I always looking for things to demo, for things, if I show you the link here, it's so if you have any question and you would like to do something interesting with preset or superset, it's just let us know because I try to make a general tour, but there are a lot of things very powerful in superset, like a Shinja query, that I will be happy to demo and help you. But in the preset super user corner, you can find those examples, it's so, and if we don't have an example, just let me know and I'm gonna build a demo for you.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, thanks everyone for coming.
It was a pleasure. Bye.
Enjoy the rest of your day.